LPL 赛季已经打了一半了，强弱队伍的差距已经在逐渐的拉开，包括东部的3强，包括西部的 EDG 有 RW。而在这个赛季的话，其实东西部的强弱差距，我认为还是存在的，包括现在东部的新的3强 ，RNG、IG、京东。
绿毛也在人堆里面想要继续守。 莫甘娜闪现，但还是死了，交了个死亡闪现，后续还在继续追，维鲁斯也死了，千珏在追击的过程中也没有办法留下来，多 MD 也死了，最后只剩下一个 Mouse。
上个赛季的时候，我们发现东部的3杰是学习了西部，而这个赛季不知道东部的3强能否还延续上个赛季火热的状态。除了春季赛的4强以外，我觉得京东的加入也会让夏季赛、季后赛更加的好看，可能京东会成为那个搅局者。 不知道春季赛的4强谁会出局，谁又会进局？季后赛会告诉我们答案。
We are officially halfway through the LPL as today is week 6, day 1, which means we still have half of our cross-conference games to play before going back into the second round of intra-conference play. To kickstart week 6, we have 2 matches being played live out of the Shanghai Super Brand Mall Arena. As you can see, both Jingdong Gaming as well as TOP are gearing up to do battle already, with EDG as well as BLG expected to arrive shortly to prepare for the battle of former sister teams. We've got a brand new introduction video, we've got even more exciting LPL action, and each and every one of these teams are fighting for the final bits and pieces of points before going back into intra-conference play. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Matthew Stewart. We've got an awesome show lined up for you guys tonight, so let's get started with it. Starting with how the LPL currently stands, because at the moment, top of the table is still going to be Invictus Gaming tied up with JDG in the Eastern Conference. For the side of the West, it's EDG as well as Rogue Warriors. Rogue Warriors were able to pick up a crucial point after taking down RNG in our match of the week last night. Then for 4th place, we have TOP, FPX as well as OMG tied up for the side of the West, still fighting for that final playoff spot. Whereas for the side of the East, Suning hold a game point over LGD, with BLG 2 games behind just that. Rounding out our LPL will be the bottom of the table. WE as well as Vici still trying to fight for a late playoff run. But today we won't see either of those 2 teams, as later on tonight we have the battle of the former sister teams between BLG as well as EDG. But to start our show, we have JDG taking on TOP live here from the Shanghai Super Brand Mall Arena. And we're going to get into those matches as soon as we possibly can. But first, just going to introduce our analyst for today on the desk, going to be Clement Chu. And we're going to talk about last week first, Clement, because we had 1 whole week of cross-conference and we get to see who the best of the Rift were for that cross-conference play. And it's starting with Flandre in the top lane.
Yeah, he's definitely freed from that top lane. They stopped playing the gold funnel and he's been allowed to go wild on those carries, the Jax and the Vladimir, and just look at those damage numbers that he's putting up right there.
Playing fantastically for Snake. They've been trying to adapt their playstyle recently. As you said, moving away from Gold Funnel, moving away from playing 2 supports in the same roster, and they've brought in Light as their new AD carry of choice. Haro, on the other hand, has been a standout performer for EDG.
Definitely. He had a great game on his birthday, finished Suning in 22 minutes, one of the fastest games we've ever seen in the LPL, and he's been killing it on that Kindred pick.
We talked about how he didn't really mesh well with the team during Spring Split, but all the playtime he's gotten as well as the advice and assistance he's gotten from Clear Love backstage have definitely helped him out. And EDG look like they're on an upward trajectory after Rift Rivals. For the side of Invictus Gaming, Rookie still the star mid laner for the squad. Fantastic performance at Rift Rivals, carried a game for IG against SKT, continuing to do that
and
in the
LPL.
LPL.
Not fair with these statistics because he's been playing the LeBlanc into WE at Xi'an, shocking the home crowd there with his performances, and just such a monster player coming out from the laning phase.
He is, and another monster player is Mr. Roboto himself, Mr. Destructoid of SMLZ. If you said those stats weren't fair, Clement, these stats are not fair.
He is the hyper carry of the league. 52% of his team's kills just on 1 person. Loving that Valentine Lucian. He's always been rocking that pick, and he's been really active on those emotes as well.
Whatever firmware update Rogue Warriors have given to SMLZ has definitely worked out for them. However, no AD carry is as good without their support, which Limao has showed up in Week 5 of the LPL, assisting the hyper carry of Logan, who has now branched out into majors, but he is shaping up that bottom lane and helping JDG be one of the top teams in the league.
He has to be the most dangerous recon player we have in the league right now, and I would say the best engaging support as well.
And we'll get to talk a little bit more about Limao later on, because JDG will be playing the first match of today. But before we get into today's matches, let's talk about the LPL a little bit more holistically, because we've seen before Rift Rivals, and since coming back from Rift Rivals, a whole lot of unorthodox, not so meta picks cropping up. And it started with the change coming into Summer Split.
Yep.
All around the world, we saw lots of different changes, niche picks cropping up as meta picks. But in the LPL, we take it a step forward.
Yeah, LPL plays the most games and we have the most chances to experiment. So we have 10 extra unique picks compared to any other region. And we've selected 3 picks here that we think will impact play going forward.
And I know one of the picks that you want to start with was Orianna, because we saw Y4 from LGD pick it up. He used to be the bottom lane player for RNG, sat on the bench alongside Abel and behind Uzi, moved over to LGD this split, and has started strong as their bottom lane player. He introduced Orianna to the LPL in the bottom lane.
And I honestly don't know why other regions are not picking up on this pick, because it isn't only Y4. Jackie Love and iBoy and even Loken has hopped onto this train. You get great kill threat once you get level 6, and late game she doesn't fall off compared to other mages like Vladimir or the Swain, who have much shorter attack ranges. So I think this is something that people will want to pick a lot more, especially to counter out those full bruiser compositions that need to walk into Shockwave.
And we still see it being played in the mid lane. We saw Doinby pick it up last night. But crucially in the bottom lane, very unique itemizations coming out from Y4, as well as the rest of the bot lane players that have picked it up.
Yeah, we definitely see the Sword Boots and the Morello Nomicon being core staples right there. It's much harder for marksmen to utilize magic resistances, and unlike the mid lane where you can build the Banshee's Vel, the Sword Boots is always picked up here. So we really want to see this pick being utilized a little bit more. It has great kill potential, and if you want to snowball that bot lane like a lot of LPL teams want to do, Orianna is a great pick.
And it's been working out well for the teams that have picked it up. We still see it in the mid lane, and we see a lot of players going towards lots of cooldown reduction in the runes they pick up, trying to get those extra spell rotations during team fights. But that's not the only pick we want to talk about, because last night as well, we saw another new pick being introduced to the 2018 season of Quinn being played in the LPL.
Solo queue players are going to be very familiar with this pick. She currently has the highest win rate in top, jungle, and AD carry, but there's only one Korean challenger player that's been playing it, and it is LGD's Jinu, the first one to bring it out. And to talk about his build, it is all about the movement speed. Remember, Celerity has been buffed massively, and with the phase rush and with his items that you'll see in just a second, you get massive value out of it. A free pickaxe during combat stats, and those are the items you build. The Ghost Blade, the Black Cleaver, the Storm Razors, those all give you movement speed, and then to top it off, he builds the Blade of the Ruin King and Phantom Dancer as well. He is over 600 movement speed in team fights and is roaming around the map at about 840 movement speed when he's with the R behind enemy lines.
And just to touch on the buff that Clement was talking about, Celerity used to give you 3% movement speed at the start of the match, now only 1.5, but your total movement speed is converted to AD carry at a much higher percentage of about 9.6. So, as you said, a free pickaxe is nice to have if you're an assassin.
Yeah, and the way Jinu plays these team fights is just so masterful to watch. He waits on the edges, waits till he gets the chance to go in and deal all of his burst damage. Remember, your triple proc of vulnerability is most of your damage, so you want to get that on the back line at the start of the fight. This is the best team fight that we've seen Jinu play in, basically. He gets all of his burst damage onto the opponent's Swain, blinds him, makes sure that he cannot go into the rest of the fray, distracts the backline, and has the movement speed to peel away for himself as well.
Seems to be just trying to split apart these team fights, making teams choose between engaging on the rest of the 4 or trying to single out Quinn. Now, we didn't get to see Jinu be tested in towards the late game, but as that game got later for LGD, started to fall off a little bit heavier. He's tried to make those same distraction plays, but was caught out a few times and was not as useful as the early game that we saw from him.
That definitely is true. Your win rate drops sharply off at 40 minutes, but the reason Quinn will be seeing more play is because she's a very strong lane counter into champions like Darius and champions like Gnar, which are currently being blind picked at a very high win rate in the LPL.
Because Darius started to be picked up in multiple lanes once the meta changed in Summer Split, whereas for the side of Gnar, it was a 957 special. We thought it was unorthodox. Now plenty of top laners in the LPL are starting to pick up that champion again. So all eyes on LG to see if they continue to pick up these unorthodox picks. So that's both Y4 as well as Junior that have already started the innovation, but they're not the only team that has done just that. And lots of people back at home will already know this next pick, which is going to be Kled in the mid lane. Doinby showcased it. He did it at about the same time he used to play pretty reworked Aatrox in the mid lane, and had a fantastic showing on the champion, even taking the LPL to Game 5 at Rift Rivals with it.
It's just a great pick to have, really, and I'm hearing a lot of objections. People will say this is being played in the LCK as well, but they don't have wins on this champion in the mid lane specifically. Only Doinby and the LPL has been able to do that. If you look at the runes here, the most important part is the press the attack rune. You're going up against squishies, so you want that extra burst damage provided by you. That's the main difference, the way you play it in the mid lane and in terms of the top lane. We talk about the pick strengths in general. It's first about the matchups. There's so few answers to Kled in the mid lane. You basically can't win if you're a mage against that. And the way Doinby plays it is that he transitions it into the side lanes. He becomes a split pusher. He knows that he wants the team to dissolve before he can use the charge and then go into the team fights.
Has plenty of assassination potential as well. We've seen Doinby do it so many times, being able to jump onto unsuspecting carries the side of the opposition, kill them, and then start a fight. And it's great for Rogue Warriors as well, because they always want to start unexpected team fights whenever they can.
Yeah, when Rogue Warriors get the setup, when they get the drop on you, they're so dangerous to deal with. And just watch how this team fight starts. Doinby is always looking for 1, side lane solo kills, or number 2, going in with uneven numbers. If it's a 5v4, if it's a 5v3, the extra movement speed and the burst provided by Kled will instantly close that team fight out.
Seems to be the trend between all 3 picks, trying to disrupt the enemy in some sort of way. Orianna trying to disrupt the bottom lane, get a lead there. Quinn trying to disrupt team fights. Kled doing a very similar thing, trying to stop the team fight from starting to begin with and then start one yourself.
Yeah, once the meta has really settled, we're going to see more and more tech picks, like as I like to call them. Picks that are very strong, that counter certain compositions, counter certain play styles. And the Orianna is a counter to the Bruiser compositions, and the Quinn is a very good counter to specific picks into the top lane. So I really like how the meta is evolving and how deep it's going to get further on the LPL.
Which is great to see, especially halfway through the LPL, because unless you're Snake Esports, pretty much every team knows exactly how you want to play, what your playstyle is going to be. We don't talk about Snake because every match for Snake is a brand new playstyle, brand new meta, and it's all about SOFM every single time. But Snake are not playing today, so let's get into the first match that we have here today, Clement. It's going to be JDG going up in our first game of today. I know you really want to talk about this team because we talk about the top 4 all the time of Rogue Warriors, of Invictus Gaming, EDG, RNG, but JD are currently 8-1 and looking like a very dominant team in the LPL at the moment.
Yeah, we just heard Miller talking about it in the interview right there. There should be 3 teams in the East that we're talking about, and JD has to be one of them. They're currently sitting at 8-1, 8 straight series win, tied with IG for first place in the East. And I think it's time to start questioning, is this the best current team in the LPL? Because I feel like I can make a really strong case for that.
So why is that? Because I posed this question to both Rusty as well as Raz last night. They both had very similar answers of we still have to see a little bit more of JDG going towards playoffs this split and potentially even to the start of next split. Why do you think that now you can already make that case for JDG to say that they're a top team?
I would say they're number 1 in 2 areas, and that first one is the early game. They have the highest first blood rate, and as you see on the screen right now, pre-15 minutes, they make the most action on the map. They're able to get the most kills and have the best snowballs so far. And number 2, I would say, would be the team fight edge that JD Gaming currently have in the LPL. If you think about the giants of the team fights, they're RNG, they're WE, and they're Rogue Warriors. But RNG don't have Uzi right now, and they just defeated Rogue Warriors, and I think WE is nowhere near the top. So JD Gaming naturally rise to one of the best positions. I wouldn't say they're the historical high for the LPL, but they're certainly one of the best. They have some of the greatest engage tools in Luma and Zoom, and they have some of the best zoning ideas coming out from Yagao as well. And if you think about the team holistically, there's so many carries on the team. They have so many ways to finish the fight in the end. Yagao, Zoom, Klid even. There's just great players, and Loken has been stepping up as well.
Loken has been stepping up. He was crucial to JDG's playoff run during Spring Split. We even saw that Lumao picked up Best of the Rift for support. So everyone on JD is starting to shape up to be a star player in their own right. But if we talk about their strengths of being a team fighting team, how do teams attack JDG and try to tear them apart? Because if they're starting to become one of the best teams of the LPL, you have to start looking at how you stop them from doing just that.
Yeah, and that's where JD really have to have a really hard look at themselves, and it has been the macro game that lets them down. They do fall behind sometimes because they're over-eager, they're over-aggressive, they have the bloodlust in them, so they want to look for a lot of fights, but a lot of times they don't have the proper setup to do it, and teams can punish it for that.
And we've already seen one team punish top teams with these fights, not able to pick up a win in the best 3 series, but TOP have known to pick scrappy fights and try to disrupt you whenever they possibly can. So although it's a top of the table JDG against a middle of the pack TOP, there is a chance for TOP to try and disrupt JD's game plan in this match.
And this is such a fun matchup because both of these junglers like to have early action and they're very dominant in what they do. XX has been the rising star for TOP, a great Graves player, a great Camille player. On the other hand, Clid, he's known for the Graves as well. They do ban the Nocturne out for him to first pick the Graves, and he has the Lee Sin on the side as well. So I expect a lot of early butting heads between these two.
Lots of team fights, lots of skirmishes, and we definitely expect some brawls to take place in this best 3 series. Let's look at the team's lineups. So the side of JD, it's going to be Zoom, Clid, Yagao, as well as Loken and Lumao.
Going for this starting roster for a long time. If you look at the left 3 people on the list, they look like the same person, and it's that synergy between those 3 that makes the team so good.
Look the same, play the same. Whereas for the side of TOP, it's Moyu, XX, Korn, Chocho, as well as Kat.
Throwing out a new roster today, going out with Mori once again. TOP in their previous series ran with Jax in the top lane and had double globals in the bot just to support that. So it's looking like a top-heavy composition for them.
It was everything and the kitchen sink to support that, Jax. I mean, there was a Kindred, a Shen, a Galio, even a Karthus for global damage in case Jax started fighting somewhere else. So they're really trying to spread out their resources and see where they can actually attack other teams. We talked about JD quite heavily, about how good they are at the moment, but for TOP, they've had a great split so far. Yes, they're sitting middle of the pack, but that is great for TOP because last split was horrible for them. The split for them wasn't as good either. This time around, actually starting to shape up and shorten the weaknesses they previously had.
They're still looking for that final win that will take them over the total amount of wins they had in spring. Still sitting at 3 wins, but they, like you said, had very good showings against tough opponents. Invictus Gaming for one, and I believe they faced up against, I think, did they go up against RNG yet? Probably not. Probably not. But they've had really good games so far, and I think a big thing is about the direction the team has been taking. They have made their stamp on the macro play in the middle game and have very good level 1s to boot.
And have been experimenting with their rosters as well, but we're going to get into this first match very quickly, so let's send it over to our casters.
Cheers, Fish. I'm going to be anchoring the desk today. My name is Paul, so I'm going to be with Raz. How you doing, Raz?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
No problem. We're about to be heading into Champions League very shortly. Here we go, folks, into our first game between JD and TOP. This one's going to be here live in Shanghai as well, so the audience is packed for this one. We're going to have JD kicking us off on the blue side. Will be a Kled, the Yasuo, and a Morgana ban, leading with a Taliyah pick into the jungle.
I'm just interested in what Zoom's going to play today because, of course, we've seen a few signs out there, translated by our lovely producer, that, of course, it is his birthday today.
Birthday boy.
So, birthday Zoom wants a GP. That's what he wants. He's been fantastic on it thus far, showcasing that he can play carries recently in the sense that, yeah, sure, we know him for the beginning of Spring Split as very reliable in the top lane, having great laning statistics, but he's been put on tanks so often, and now today is a special day. Give him the damn GP.
I'm just saying, it's his birthday. He's played Yorick before. Give it to him again. Quinn is also a new thing in the top lane. Give him a Quinn.
You just want the picks that you want him to play.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure he does too. On the opposite side, TOP are going to lock in the Swain. We're going to have a Talon as well very early in to this rotation.
Yeah, there we go. So immediately TOP, remember, Korn is an assassin player, early game specialist. So it's going to be Korn that wants to be active on the map and hopefully find some standing because his statistics thus far has been atrocious. He needs to start playing well for TOP to find more victories here.
On the opposite side, an instant lock of the Darius into the Alistar right here. And it's interesting nowadays, we're seeing so many Dariuses come in the early rotations. And now Quinn is also starting to arise. Yes, only in Jinnu, but also a great counter into the Darius.
It's interesting, because when you have a Darius on the top side, Immediately securing it means that, of course, it won't get banned in the second phase. You have hard AD in the top set of the map, which means that your bottom lane is free to go for an AP pick for themselves.
Yeah.
And Loken has been that carry that is now diversified. Of the 26 champions he's picked, 2 of them in the last set were mages, predominantly throughout the entire split going straight towards the AD carries, and so he's been spamming it in solo queue, the Oriannas, the Morganas, the Swains. Now he's comfortable doing it, and you can see it in the compositions that they're now more relying on in the second phase. They can get his hands on those picks. Orianna is what I'm looking for.
He was comfortable and he was good as well. That one was against Rogue Warriors. I was casting that one with Froskuren. Now, Gragas will be pick up here from TOP. Typically seeing that one in the top side, though, have also seen it in the bottom lane. And Galio will be the ban out here against JD. And Kennen as well removed from TOP.
There we go. I mean, Kennen makes a lot of sense just because TOP bringing Moyu back. Yes, he's played 3 different picks with the 3 games that he's had thus far, but historically, he's a Kennen player, he's a Jax player. Those 2 picks is what he's been proficient on. You take those away from him and he has trouble. That being said, the Jax is still available, so that's something that he can pick towards for himself.
Yep, does like some strong top laners. Tryndamere would fit in there technically, as would a Renekton, but that was a Gangplank ban there from JD actually on their side, so no GP for Zoom at least in this first game, and it will be a Gnar into the top.
And he needs to pick the Gnar. If he picks the Jax, he gets obliterated by the Darius pick. So
is that locked?
That's locked.
Okay. All right, Loken. That's fine. 100% win rate so far. I mean, of course, one of those games at least was Uzi. I remember that one very intimately. And also going to be a Lulu as well. So we've got the front line there. Talia and a Vayne just gets instantly locked in from JD.
That's insanity. Looking straight towards TOP's composition, knowing that Talon is right there. Fun fact, that's a Lulu mid lane. So JD is so confident that they have tricked Corrin into thinking that he picked the Talon into the top Talia mid lane, that he's saying, no, we understand that Yagao plays Talia quite a lot, but actually now we've just hard countered you. It's going to be a difficult lane for Talon, and it's going to mean that mid lane pressure is there for JD, and now they're going to be able to hold on to Loken and Mao's early laning phase in the bottom side of the map. We'll have to see how it fares.
Yeah, this is fascinating stuff out from JD. On the opposite side, TOP, final pick, just as interesting. Pyke comes down and then to the bottom lane. Now, we have had a good amount of Pyke. He's only won 1 out of 3 games so far. We've had 21 of those games, and Cat will bring it to the table once again. Now, Cat is definitely a bloodthirsty support, but this time, he can kill someone, and his allies also benefit.
It's just a great laning phase between him and Swain. The duo has been rising up globally currently, a few of them in LCK. Swain, of course, works so well with Pyke. If Pyke ever lands a hook, of course, the passive of Swain can bring you up towards the tower, so it is a kill lane.
It absolutely is. And into a lane like this, Alice is going to go wonders and miles into stopping that kill lane from doing exactly what they want to do to that Vayne, but also Pyke also nice into the Alistar pick. And Vayne itself, I mean, that's a big linchpin right here for JD. I mean, old Loken, you were just talking about the mages in the bottom lane, and now he's just kind of gone back on the other side, but gone to way on the other end of the spectrum and has picked up Vayne.
There's so much confidence. I mean, one of the biggest fears of a Vayne going into a lot of these later game teamfights is the zone control that Pyke and Swain actually have. Not even talking about the engage potential of the Talon and Gragas. So the Vayne has to get snowballing early, and a lot of people will be wondering, wait, Vayne? Snowballing? How does that happen? The only Vayne player that we have that we could look towards is Uzi, and a lot of the RNG strategies is to have early game pressure from the mid and jungle towards bottom lane really early on, trying to fish for early ganks. Talia is an exceptional champion at being able to do that. So JD has a great jungle matchup, great mid lane matchup, that needs to be piled onto the bottom lane.
And to be fair, last time we saw the Vayne as well, it was flexed into topside, into a Mundo as a counter right there. So actually completely avoided the Jackie Love matchup where he picked Raven. So this is another time we're actually going to see Vayne in the bottom lane here, Raz.
Yeah, I mean, historically that's just been the RNG touch, but yeah, recently they have definitely just decided to have him evacuate the lane altogether. We'll have to see what JD actually goes for here. They have great lane matchups. They have to keep them standard.
This is definitely an uphill struggle here for TOP if they want to topple JD. They've been on an absolute tear recently. We'll see if they can do it today as I hand it over to Shanghai.
Well, we finally done it. We put a camera on the JD guy.
Yep.
He was in the crowd for a while. We've been asking to do it, and
Yep.
finally we've now identified him.
I mean, he also gravitates towards the crowd, Mike. So you can probably... it's like bait. You just keep a camera on the crowd mic, and the JD manager will go into it naturally.
No, I didn't see a camera mic. I didn't see a mic in there. I'm just saying, he's a naturally loud person.
That's true. His voice will find the mic. I mean, I also like that other teams are also rising to the occasion. TOP, the ringleader right there, crushing it. We take a look at the Keystone runes right here. All seems pretty standard. We're going to have the triple tap there from Loken. And also a phase rush coming in for Chocho in the bottom lane alongside Cat. Of course, going for the Aftershock right there. And Korn, he's got the spike. He's going to be starting on Wolves, not Raptors.
There we go. So I love the fact that you have the opportunity, if you don't get your wave pushed into your tower, you can start on the Wolf camp. It makes it easier for the Gragas. So you can actually get the most beneficial camp, the Raptor camp. Makes it well for him. That being said, I want to focus on towards the Loken lane just because he not only has cleanse, press the attack as well. The lane matchup should be surprisingly good for him because, of course, the initial range that he has. It's very pick heavy on the bottom side of the map, so a lot of skill shots can be dodged by just tumble. So right then and there's a lot of safetiness from Loken to just farm out the lane. I want to see if Gragas can actually find ways as he's now pathing towards the bottom side of the map to, once he actually gets the Scuttle Crab, to start pressuring this lane.
Yeah. He's, of course, started Tumble in this lane. I also wonder if he'll decide to max or at least put a couple levels into it. But Mal, he doesn't have a Tumble. He's a big old Alistair, so he's going to take the brunt of all that damage out from the level 2 punish there from TOP.
Yeah, level 2 from both of these, of course. In the bottom lane from Cat and Chocho is incredibly punishing. So Mao cannot walk to the lane, even though he has the sustain to walk up to a minion and just kind of just punch up the targets. Ain't going to help. He needs to let it slowly push into him.
We're going to take a look at the runes there in detail there from Loken. But I also want to talk about the fact that I'm pretty sure Clid's about to get a triple buff on XX. I mean, he got absolutely bamboozled going up there. Looks at his red buff. Oh, that's not there. Looks towards the enemy jungle. Doesn't know if there's going to be vision there to stop him. So now he's moving to the bot side of the river, but doesn't know whether Clid has gone for a full clear or not, and he should be able to find this triple. Yeah,
at the very least, Gragas won't get seen here, so the best thing comes out of it. Clid won't be able to track him down. I wonder if he can get this off of Yagao. He's going to look for it.
I mean, there's only really one play from XX, but he does it anyway into the mid lane. And look at the damage coming through. It's going to be first blood to Korn.
There we go. Didn't know where Korn was. And remember, just because you have Smite on Talon, usually the counterplay is to push against him, force him back into the lane. Naturally did it, but of course, had a friend in XX. So now XX gets the experience in the mid lane throughout all of that.
Couple question mark pings definitely going towards the mid lane right there. Clid was having a grand old time in the jungle. XX, where's he going to go? Well, if he's cleared his jungle, then probably going to gank a lane. Top, mid, bottom. Likely going to be mid or bottom.
Still feels bad, man, for Clid. You got to a point where you talked about the triple buffing. Experience advantage. Would naturally want to track down Gragas, maybe bully him on the Krug. But now, he had to answer to the mid lane getting pushed in. And XX found the experience by not only leeching the mid lane wave when it got pushed in, but the kill itself. So, yeah, XX is feeling himself.
Good. Come over to Korn on that one as well. Meanwhile, on the top lane, we've got the Gnar into Darius matchup. Pretty good for Gnar. Not obviously the best, because also attack range happens to also be the range of Apprehend. So it means that he will be able to follow through with the combo. But all in all, it should generally be a pretty even lane.
The worst thing for the Gnar in this matchup is the fact that if he's trading, he's also pushing at the same time. Now sure, Darius is going to be playing back, but this means that Gnar doesn't have full control of his own lane. And one problem that Moyu's had repeatedly is just feeding. In the laning phase particularly, because he just gets focused on by the enemy jungler.
Yep.
So this time around, Moyu needs to recognize that, call in XX whenever he's pushing into a dangerous wave. That's what he needs out of this laning phase. We don't want to find Moyu having his typical games where he's just 0-4 by the 10-minute mark.
And he was somewhat bottlenecked into this one. I didn't have to, of course, go for the Gnar, but had many bans towards him. Also picking a Jax into an early Darius rotation was not going to be a great thing for him. So choose to go this route instead. Got Yagao and Clid grouping up. Countdown on the bot side of the lane. But in the end, Clid will regain control over the river. I say regain, he's pretty much had it all game long. And so far, JD, take a look at their gold. Yes, they're behind because of that first blood, but I have a suspicion that a lot of the gold that they do have is on Clid right now.
Yeah, that should be the case. I think at this point in time, Clid should feel happy about that. Remember, one of the biggest points of Taliyah, even starting out with the early AP, not moving into finishing his jungle item immediately, is that he just wants to have the early pressure in lanes. Hadn't had the opportunity because he was able to, everyone caught him by clearing out the mid lane wave. But he has two options here. Either go towards the bottom lane with the Alistar, hopefully find a play off of that. We were looking towards that initially on, that most of the time you do want to find a play off of Alistar so you can get a kill on towards, let's say in this instance, a Pyke. Or just a Darius if you go in the top side of the map because he has Flashy. This time around, they might have to respond to a TOP play.
They're looking towards the bottom lane. It was a deep ward in the end there just behind that red buff. Cat's just going to be in the brush and Mao's going to see him. We'll look at whether he can find his challenge.
At the same time, Moyu's getting zoned out here at the top side of the map. Thankfully, Moyu is respectful and is playing back. Otherwise, would have surely died or had to have burned Flash. That being said, Clid is relentless.
He's still going to come in for this one. Level 6 on Moyu. Nice little dodge there. Goes back to the tower, takes all the pebbles to the head, but it's not going to be a kill in the end. Zoom will continue pushing, but I'm sure Clid will just skedaddle out of that lane now.
It's really well done. Because honestly, if Clid was just looking for any damage, it didn't have to be kill threat. It just had to force Moyu back because there were two waves getting pushed in here. Had Moyu been forced to back, then he couldn't have TP'd in. Would have been a sure dive. He would have to base and missed out in two waves. That would have solely lost him the lane. Sure, he's down a bit in CS, but now he's alive, of course. XX not playing towards the top side of the map. He is doing his part.
That's the biggest thing in the end. XX and it's put in the jungle, level 5 right now. With Wager, they're about halfway till 6. No, just kidding. He's just hit 6. XX. Been hard farming through that jungle.
I just noticed something, and I'm
What's that, Raz?
about to prepare you for this.
All right, I'm ready.
So we know how TOP and JD are quite fiery teams when it gets to skirmishes and team fights.
Yes.
6 stopwatches here for both these teams. Well, like 3 stopwatches in particular.
3 apiece, yeah.
Yeah. So Gragas and fully the bottom lane, so Swain and Pyke has that. And on the side of JDG, it's the same thing. Similarly, I'd say Yagao has the stopwatch, Clid has a stopwatch, Mao has a stopwatch.
Yep.
So I'll just say it's about to activate. We're about to get to that point. There we go. All 6 are activated. Now we could be, I'd say it's usually a surge of confidence for both of these teams to look for a play, especially dives. JD are a team that when they get the go signal with the dive, it's Clid that starts the fight. He's level 5. Once he hits 6 from either the Krugs and red buff, depends on if he has the experience for it. I think 1 should be enough. Then you would expect for him to dive bottom.
I mean, remember, folks, this is the LPL. Those are not defensive uses right there, no shields. These are more weapons you can use to set up a play. Clid on his way to the bottom side. XX setting up in the mid lane here.
A lot's about to happen, not only through the mid lane, but perhaps bottom lane as well.
There's the flash. Oh! Big whiff coming out there from XX. In fact, respect from Yagao, thinking he was going to land it. Comes out with a nice knock up there on the Wild Growth. So, trades a flash for an ult.
Should have had a larger turkey dinner. Look at the man. Not bad enough to land the body flop. So, with that being said, are they actually looking for a bottom lane play immediately?
Apparently, if it doesn't work once, copy Rogue Warriors and just make another play. Move towards the bottom lane. XX tosses out the ultimate and says, Loken, get out of there. We want Mao. And we'll just walk on to the mid lane.
You just saw some grass that needed tending to.
Watch out! He yells into the bottom lane. We're ganking.
That was absurd.
Oh,
wait a
double
second.
knockup from Mao. He sees the opportunity to jump onto Chocho. Pops the ultimate, but here comes Clid riding on the wall. Cat's gone stealthed, but he's now body blocking for Chocho. It's going to be damage in the end, and ultimate's popped.
Yeah, and you know what? Chocho lost his full soul fragment. So as long as, there we go, nothing happens there. He's much weaker now in the skirmishing point of it. So now Loken could be a lot more aggressive in lane, assuming no more skirmishes happen. Get out of here, Gragas.
Go back to base, then come back.
What? Leave!
Yeah. Stopwatches, man. They're still up. We've got to burn the stopwatches.
Look, this is what happens. The moment the clock strikes 8, people lose their minds.
Oh! Double auto. Smash the minion. Styles on him.
One more
Q.
attack. One more Q.
For Nox and Diplomacy. Oh!
It doesn't matter where you flash.
Are you kidding me? Why is that a mechanic?
Doesn't matter. You got to play more Talon or against more Talons.
Feels bad, man. Yagao, I think he had ultimate. Either he had ultimate, it just came off cooldown. He chose the instant reaction. That was the flash. As you said, doesn't matter. It still hits you.
It was fantastic. That being said, as his ultimate, gonna feel bad of that. So TOP getting all of that. No way you get contested on this dragon, because Talon's feeling fairly strong about this one. So getting a lot out of it. He's feeling confident enough that he's actually just gonna base at the same time. So ultimately, massive win for TOP holistically.
Yeah, this is a big start to the early game here from TOP. They're almost 1,000 gold ahead. They've got the dragon. Next one's going to be Ocean. And remember, JD are the favourites in this matchup by a long shot, recently taking down Rogue Warriors. Looking very good across the board. They are near undefeated in this league, and TOP is currently handing it to them.
Yeah, we just don't know where TOP's peak is. You know, they're a team that took down Snake fairly easily coming into this split.
True.
They're a team that you could see the heights of XX as a jungler when he has the likes of Graves, just a carry jungler. Not so much the tanks. There's probably a reason for it with his earlier play not looking that good. But my question is, what can TOP do in a slower setting, in a slower game? 11 minutes in, not many kills. I guess Cat's found his answer.
Cat is always an answer for TOP. Looks for the Spectre on the toe. Wall flash out of Mao's combo. Triple teleports coming down to the mid lane. All three cancelled.
It was literally 2 TOP teleports saying, nah, if you finish this TP, our 2 TPs will obliterate you. Cancel it right now.
Yep. Then it was 1-to-1 on TPs, and both realised, I don't really want to teleport to the mid lane because nothing's going to happen. So in the end, that's 2 shortened cooldowns for Moyu and Chocho. And I believe that was Zoom as well, also trying to make his way down to the mid lane. So all in all, still just going to be 12 minutes on the clock and no more blood shed, just a lot of summoners.
And usually those plays, you have TP, like triple TP plays that end up getting cancelled. The game slows down just a little bit, since that Chocho and Cat are now going to be focusing on the bottom lane. And perhaps JD are going to be utilizing the advantage they have in the top side of the map. Just depends how Talon's doing in the lane. Oh, wait a minute.
He's tracking. But unfortunately, he has to go through a narrow choke point into Clid, and that means that it just lines up the pebbles for him, so he'll back away.
That's really well done. Because remember, 2 kills on Talon. He found his way to afford the boots of mobility, got to the lane fairly quickly, had the push in the mid lane fairly quickly, so he could just roam whenever he wanted to. So now Taliyah stopping him and forcing him to slowly move back towards the mid lane gave Lulu time to actually gain control of the lane a little bit. So well done in that regard. That being said, Lulu is roaming bound just to place some vision. So now she's in a spot where she has to take the longest route back to the lane.
Yeah, Talon's just getting ready to gank these minions. Of course, he is actually waiting for Yagao, but he went bot side, then he went top side for the blue buff, is now going back to base, and Korn, for the last maybe 40 seconds, has been standing in this brush, missed about 3 or 4 minions.
That was the largest half-circle journey I've seen from Yagao.
He's going on an adventure. Moving back towards mid lane now. I will say that's starting to become quite a scary Talon. He does have the mobility boost to Dirk and also the Tiamat. 2 kills and 150 farm to boot at 14 minutes.
Yeah, my worry is that they don't have a control ward to place fairly deep into the red side jungle. This is the only control ward they have. It might be, they're confident that's the only one they need. Let's see if that's the case.
Moving down to the bottom lane. Oh, are you kidding me, Cat? Comes out of the sidestep, followed through from Korn into the Unbreakable Will. Tags him against the wall right there, looks to back away, but he is sickened down. Stop, drop, and roll. He dies within the tree line.
All right, that's unfortunate. Didn't even give his fighters the chance to start the fight. Talon just goes in immediately without his flash. Very close to having it. Thought he didn't need it. Even learned the price. Here's the thing. Because that was a very telegraphed play from TOP. What I said was they needed to have deeper vision, deeper control wards. They didn't have that necessarily. It was actually just the Gragas that had control wards. So if they had done their due diligence, they could have tricked Loken and Mao to stay in lane a little bit longer. Gave Loken and Mao the heads up, so they backed away from the turret entirely. And they found a little bit of an opening because Mao, of course, missed his Q. But Cat technically missed his own Q. And so you found yourself some awkward situations where you get a ground pound for Korn. And the Ignite just finishes him.
Yeah, we saw his blade. No more Talon. Sad boys, 2-1 now for TOP and JD Gaming. And I feel like TP had a lot of momentum in the early game. Now, Korn has just gone back to base and picked up a Just Blade of Drakthar. However, in the top lane, that's a nice apprehend. Moyu buys a bit of time using the Gnar. And Clid will continue to chase down, but that should be it. No flash burnt, no nothing. Well played by Moyu.
Yeah, Moyu, second time in a row. Blocking out or just dodging out from the flick from Taliyah. So he's done a really good job at just really ducking out of Clid's pressure in the top side of the map, which would have ruined him with just one successful play. He's recognized that, and this has probably been the best game Moyu has had in terms of dealing with pressure. Because oftentimes, if he doesn't have the pressure from his own jungler, he flops. This time around, he's actually doing quite well when XX has been focusing the bottom side of the map.
Now, Raz, this is quite a prolonged laning phase. I mean, at 16 minutes, you know, that's quite a thing to say, but in this current meta is definitely relevant. If you're TOP, at what point do you start sweating? At what point do you start wiping your brow because Vayne's been free farming for this early game?
Last fight, I would say, just because that was their best opportunity at killing the Vayne or blowing the Alistar stopwatch. Now that that hasn't happened, it's harder to look for the bottom lane play. That being said, here comes a team fight.
Yeah, Lu Mao coming in there, lands the knockup onto XX, goes into your breakable will, but he is by himself right now because Yagao doesn't want any of this. That will be a kill onto Cat to start us off though, 1-for-1 so far. Jump over the wall, Moyu looking for the crunch down. Meanwhile, Mao getting chased out. There's no more unbreakable will. He will be broken today. Moyu punching Clid to death. A really sad death, to be honest. See you later. 1-to-1. And now Zoom trading off 1 versus 3D. Realizes the Darius, he'll probably win that, but still 3-to-1. TOP come up trumps.
As we were counting out TOP, a team fight that they initiated works so well for them. Loken's actually found this. This is going to be really rough for Chocho.
Oh yeah, heavy breathing initiated. Yeah, he's going to go right into his ultimate. Loken's going to be happy with that one. That was also final hour, I believe.
Chocho actually has kill threat. Okay, just putting that out there. He has flash and 4 soul fragments. But with all that happening, the reason why the last fight didn't work out so well for JD is because that was an incredibly deep teleport from Zoom. Throughout all of that, Moyu was a part of the fight. In fact, zoned out Clid, as we'll see in the replay, because it looked fairly good. It was a decent position from JD. They were coming in as a team in a flank position with Clid as well. But Moyu did an incredible job having the Mega Gnar available to himself, stunning Moyu, or at least stunning Mao, and then immediately pushing over the wall, so then Clid had no way to join the fight. So it isolated it, made it so Corn and XX's job was incredibly easy before Darius had anything to do with it.
Now, Raz, I'm a simple man. As we look at this bottom lane coming in here, looking for the never move, follow-up flash over the wall from Chocho, it looks good, but XX on his way down as well. Look at Zoom actually rotating towards the bottom lane from the mid lane, moving on towards the Dragon right now. Seems like XX looking for a potential rotate, as is Corn from the mid lane. Blocking at the very least to Gao. Oh, doing more than blocking, he's actually just straight killing him.
All right. This is happening too often, Yagao.
It is. Cat face first into a cow, but he will be okay for now. Chocho chasing him down into this brush, but will be okay, because this is the second Dragon now going down to TOP.
This is getting a little bit ridiculous. Now TOP is getting so much control from Corn's kill pressure alone. If Yagao had been able to control the mid lane, which is what was expected when Home picked the Lulu for him, then it would have been scot-free. You have jungle and mid lane that are picked to win the 2v2 matchup. But now Corn is just balling. 4-1 at this point in time. Incredibly ahead in the CS margins. And of course, with the extra wave he can push with the mid lane tower being down.
I mean, it's clear right now that Yagao is obviously not super comfortable with this matchup. I appreciate you trying to flick Shelly, but she'll have none of that. She'll look for a second charge into the mid lane. Now, bottom lane now being sieged here by TOP. They've got Chocho and XX right behind them. Cat tanking the tower. She's starting to back away. There's 2 members off map right now for JD.
And there's a good trick here from TOP. Just because now Corn got to the mid lane wave earlier, he could push out the extra wave and move down at the same time. He has boost mobility, so all timing is out of whack here for JD. They will not be able to defend this bottom lane. Okay! Alright!
Stop it! Let him play League of Legends. Cat finds the Bone Skewer. Nice condemn there from Loken. Should allow Mao to get away there. Vision of Empire builds up another stack for Chocho, but his bottom tower falling. This will be all out of turrets now, down for TOP by 20.
And this is really smart play from Corn in particular, because that play wasn't available to them until he faked out Yagao by heading back to the mid lane wave. And so Yagao had to clear out the mid lane wave or he loses so much experience. He starts losing out in the slow game. So he's like, all right, well, I'm going to go back mid, clear out the massive wave. Oh, wait. Corn has already killed my junglers heading towards the bottom side of the map. So ultimately, it's so hard finding the Talon. Yagao found it fairly easily, but that's the risk you take.
He found a Talon in a dark alley. That's what's going to happen. Feels bad, man. 2-7. 5 of those kills are on Corn. He's been finding picks left and right. 1v1 kills all over. And at some point, it needs to stop, because this is exactly what Talon's looking for. Roam into the jungle, find blind spots in vision, and then nuke your targets. He's now sat on double lethality items. This guy's going to hit like an absolute truck.
Ooh. Knight's Edge. That one's going to be a lot harder to deal with, because usually the answer is, oh, the moment you see a Talon, condemn him. Not going to happen if he's had that prepared. Yeah, so it's going to be really rough for Loken if he doesn't time it properly, if he's not in the proper side of the lane. Because Vayne's top lane, remember Talon was actually pushing out that wave. He actually could have stayed top side to kind of look around play around blue side jungle for the assassination. Didn't go for it. But I'm just saying now Vayne's life is much harder on the side lane because you can't automatically win those. You have an assassin to deal with.
Classic cat maneuver right there, by the way, if you were watching. He just walks up to a ward. His team's in mid, their own jungle, and the split push Moyu. And he walks into 3 people, and he's like, it's fine. Just gonna clear this ward in front of you.
Nice.
You will have to back away, though. Oh, he's doing the same. Literally just as we were talking about. Spectral Undertow, he's gonna be fine. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they're actually pushing it out, stopping this rotation from Zoom. Nice little rake there from Korn. And this is just a band-aid here from Clid. Throws up the wall, stops him for a couple seconds, but another wave's time. This is probably a dead turret.
And with all that, slowing down Darius, moving towards the mid lane, and of course, with Cat being able to deal with Clid and stopping him from protecting the mid lane as well, that's 70% of the top mid lane tower that they were able to deal with. This mid lane tower is pretty damn easy to take. So right now, TOP are doing such a great job not having to start a fight to be able to get so much control of the map.
Yeah, TOP have absolutely done a great job this game as they're setting up for yet another Bone Skewer pick right here. Even the faith and the follow-through there from Chocho.
Just take a look at that. 3 of the champions that they have structured in the mid lane are all the right champions. Gragas, Pyke, Swain, all 3 of them have incredible pick potential. And now they're holding down the mid lane fort. So you can already see what the lane assignments should be for TOP, and they're making the right calls.
But now I'm thinking, well, what's going wrong for JD? Because JD, I mean, if this is your first time watching him, you're just like, well, this is just another random LPL team. This random LPL team is currently near the top of the tables right now, rivaling many of the Rift rivals teams currently in terms of those standings. But this team, they're just getting rocked right now. And personally, it seems to me, especially watching Yagao into Korn, he's just not comfortable with this composition he's playing.
I would say it's more so not comfortable with the matchup, or more so the change in plans that have been happening in this game. Because the win condition here is just usually the push potential Yagao would have in this lane, and of course he could lead Clid around 2v2, try and find XX camps a little bit, or try and go top lane. It'd be a roam squad. That's something Yagao's done quite frequently when he's playing Taliyah, Galio, anything really. That should be happening. Problem is, Clid has played a little bit more loose, gone to the top side a little bit more frequently when the first gank didn't work out when he went up against Moyu. That obviously didn't work too well for him. And so when Yagao has started to now track Korn, the problem with tracking Korn, the problem with tracking with Talon, is that it's always a risk. The control ward that he had on the right side of the map in the mid lane was the real winner for Korn, and that's how he's able to net a few kills in the mid lane and started the snowball.
So it looks like to me, yeah, unfortunately that control ward, XX thinks he's completely, he thinks he's solid stake in this. But yeah, unfortunately there's a ward right at the back of they placed down another one. There we go. Now they know they've been revealed. But Cat in the mid lane, this is go time for Mao to look for a sneaky little engage there. And TOP, that was literally half a teemo away from being able to reveal that one. Hello, Mao walking into a Winds of Empire, does not want to be chased down. Oh, what a bone skewer, but he converts it, finds a double knockup. Looks to back away, Loken farming some minions, but needs to help his Alistar right now.
He's not leaving. He's not leaving.
Dodges death from below, in comes XX, follows through, goes into perfect timing, and now it's a 4-on brawl. What an assassination for Korn, and explodes goes the Chocho. He finds 3 off the back of that ultimate, 4 kills to TOP.
JD, hello? I said the Alistar wasn't leaving. There are so many ways to pull him back in. There is no way you're going to be dealing with the Pyke that has a low cooldown reduction on his Q. The Gragas, who can just constantly slow and, of course, get the CC off of his E. The Swain, who is constantly pulling him with his own passive, of course, his own never move. There were so many abilities that was making it so difficult where Mao was going backwards, and he was trying to walk forwards. So leave him be, but of course, this is the result through all of that.
Yep, focus down onto Mao to start this off. He finds a nice conversion, but the team isn't really able to do anything in this choke point.
And so take a look at Korn, because he sees how much time is being bought. All of JD just standing around, think that they can help their own cow. Not going to happen, so he finds an opportunity to get the kill on towards Yagao, because Yagao's used his ultimate on the Alistar. So this was just really poorly timed. You can already see there's indecision on the side of JD. It's the fall of them.
Swain walks forward, hits the ultimate, finds 3. Really, really strong in that type of scenario. I mean, pretty much the stars aligned there for TOP, but JD did a large part in aligning them for him. And now we're looking at potentially a game over in about 5 minutes, if that. Baron's been picked up by TOP. You're looking at probably another Dragon right here, but they're setting up in the enemy jungle, clearing away the vision, pushing towards them, and see if they can crack this inner line of defenses.
Yeah, to really carve out how difficult it is for JD at this point to defend against this is that they should be mid lane to deal with the constant pick potential and the push that has been coming through. But then, of course, Darius needs to be in the bottom lane to deal with the Blade of the Rune King, Black Cleaver, Gnar that's splitting against him. They've even put in a second member because he should be able to ignore just the Darius. So you can see it's almost like they're guaranteed towers here for TOP.
They're going to at least find these inner towers, if not more, right here. And yeah, it seems that the core right now is to say, Zoom, just give up the tower, give up the ghost, move towards mid lane, and make sure that our inner turrets, or rather inhibitor turrets, do not get cracked right now. Maybe look for the flank, clear out some walls in the jungle, but Moyu will be able to take down this tower essentially for free here. As Darius will now look to defend Raz.
Off of information of TOP just staying mid. Just communication of who's actually leaving the mid line. If they just see 2 people mid, then they push forward as they are currently doing. And so the only reason why TOP are just dawdling around is it gives information to Moyu so Moyu can press up. Now Moyu's actually being able to join them. He's in Mega Gnar. He ain't going to be down in the bottom lane for too long.
Now there is still an ace up the sleeve here for JD, and that's a Vayne. 2 items currently. Of course, you'd maybe want a little bit more staring down the barrel of what is a very strong TOP, but there is a potential front to back if they don't just get assassinated in the back line that Vayne can do well.
I'm not having that, Pulse. We
Raz?
talked about in picks and bans.
I know, I hear you.
In picks and bans, we said the one problem with the Vayne is that if you don't get rolling early, you have the Pyke, the Swain zone control
conversion out from Maz. Going to be knocking them all away, however, into that Gragas barrel. Oh, Cat! Death from below. He'll go into the perfect time. May get sniped here by Loken. B pushes way too far forwards. Has to burn the flash. Oh! Flash and return. Zoom initiates for Chocho, and in comes Korn. Oh my god, the one-man army finds 2, looking for the 3rd. Yagal's ticking down, but the rest of the team, the damage is done. Korn obliterates JD.
The confidence that he had to just walk up and do it. I mean, you could see how far ahead he is, and the kills ain't stopping no matter where the observer pans his camera to.
TOP pushing it down the mid lane. They got a minion wave in tow, and Yagao, the only one to defend. He's 0 and 5 right now. Not much you can do about this one. And Cat, he's the one going on the aggressive, allowing the team to look for the win. Uh-oh, maybe not. I'm going to back away real quick, and now the defense comes in from JD. They're going to give it their best shot, but it's not going to happen. Game 1 goes to TOP.
A powerful game for Korn this one. This is what we wanted to see out of him. A poor performance throughout the split thus far, but you put him on the picks of comfort. Talon is the one you look towards. Echo at some points. But Talon is how he is able to get the early game leads that he's been known for. Known for in his previous teams of Royal. This time around, he's on TOP. Yep. He gets his pick, can play his style, and that's the result of game 1. Exceptional game.
And that's definitely leaving a couple people just a bit shell-shocked. That's JD just getting blasted right there by TOP, under half an hour on the clock. Korn destroyed people left and right. Had to do something about that talent pick heading into that second game. Chocho had a great performance in the team fight, and it just seemed like, I'll be honest, JD's flatlined from the start of the game.
Yeah, definitely. And I would be flatlined a little bit just from one fact alone. Korn didn't just throw away his advantage. This is what I would expect from him, get the early game leads, as he's been known for, and then somewhere down the line, he loses it.
Yeah.
Didn't happen this time around, has been in the right lane at all times, was in the top side of the map when they had Baron and they were pushing evenly mid and bottom lane. This is TOP growing underneath BSYY. Really feels like they've really grilled this strategy in time and again, and going into game 2, I don't know if JD can do it if they lose out in the early game as they did in game 1.
It's just so interesting that he had a shot at the champ, right? Korn to me is like this grizzled veteran old boxer, and he's just like, I'll give you a free shot, kid. And then it's just like, all right, and then he missed. And it's like, okay, now it's time just to blast you. And 28 minutes, they did that. Korn was a large part of this. And I think something obviously has to be done with that. That being said, this was something a little bit new coming out from JD in this first game. We haven't really seen the Vayne come out of Loken. And by haven't really seen, I mean, we haven't seen the Vayne come out of Loken. We haven't really seen the Lulus come out in the mid lane. I think of Yagao, I think of Zoe. So definitely some different things going on here from JD. And I think that was part of the problem here.
Yeah,
Raz.
I feel like basically, it's one of the scrim logic. You play it in practice, you're like, it works there. I know the strategy. Let's put it on stage. Oh, no, we're going to a game 2. Let's never see that strategy again.
Yeah, and now we need to reverse sweep into TOP. So best luck. For now, though, we're going to set back to the analyst desk.
Thanks, guys. And Clement, that honestly did not look like a middle of the pack against top of the table match. TOP were able to wipe the floor with JDG.
Yeah, I did it
Wasn't
again.
close.
It's the poison milk thing again. We say JD Gaming might be the best team in the LPL, and they come up with this performance.
It's his fault.
It probably is. It probably is. But, you know, I have to say, I like JD's Gaming's composition. I don't think it was as bad as it showed in terms of the game style.
Okay.
They saw the first 2 picks. They're like, okay, it's Swain Talon. Your team has to go into my team composition. So I'm going to pick the Darius. I'm going to pick the Lulu. And I'm going to make sure it's hell for you when you actually come in. And the Vayne here is not really a late game insurance. It's not really a frontline Vayne either. It's one of those picks that can slink in the back line and just have that safety of the front line and consistently deal damage. That's the way Loken likes to play. Where everything went wrong is when Talon started getting solo kills.
Yes, it was solo kill after solo kill. It was pick after pick. And honestly, TOP were able to completely shut down not only mid lane, but any parts of Fog of War where Talon had access to their side of the jungle.
Yeah, and this is really well done by Corn especially. He is a well-known assassin player, and I have to stress, it's actually very hard to get solo kills on Talon. The way that he usually works is that he gets solo kills in other parts of the lane. He leaves the lane because his damage is very upfront. It's very easy to calculate how much damage he does, and he's just running at you. You know it's going to come. So for him to be fed at that level really means things are already completely out of control. And I give a lot of props to XX for setting that up. The early 2 ganks really put Yagao completely off of rhythm. He didn't have his wild growth, he didn't have his flash, and further on down the line, you could see his mentality was already very scrambled. I don't think JD Gaming can run with a composition like this. They need priority in their jungle and mid.
They certainly do. Korn was able to disrupt so many of these fights. And Talon coming into team fights, you think, okay, there is a Lulu, there is an Alistar, there is the potential to try and shut him down, but Korn kept finding access. And this strong team fighting team of Jingdong Gaming just didn't show up in the team fights against TOP. They didn't set up, they didn't have the preparation, they kept getting caught off guard.
And this was the fight that JD Gaming could have turned it around. They had vision that the Herald was being taken. They already had set up their lines in a choke. But unfortunately, the teleport call was so late from Zoom, it took 13 seconds for him to walk from the red into the fight. And I think that was the major nail in the coffin. This composition could have survived longer. It could have gave Lulu more breathing room. But when that fight went down and 3 kills went over to the snowballing Talon already, it was pretty much lights out.
So what happened? Because if JD's the team that we're saying is starting to become one of the best team fighting teams in the LPL, but failed to execute against a middle-of-the-pack team of TOP, their team fighting was nowhere to be seen. What happened in that match, and what did JD have to change? Because even in fights like this, which I'm going to give a lot of credit to Talon, Korn played this fantastically, was able to spot out Yagao and get the jump onto that support. But what are JD doing wrong?
Well, I think the big part is what JD's first strength is, and that is the early game. They can't play with the mid-jungle that does not have priority in their own lanes, and you can see this is kind of the result, the overflow from that. JD has always been a team that's very reliant on action created by Yagao going to his other lanes. He always wants to play for a lane priority.
It's the Clid Yagao combo.
Yeah, they have the lowest CS per minute, but they have the highest kill participation. This is how they roll. But Coach Home, coming from WE, is like, hey, how about we try that Shie Kandi thing where we wait for the late game and Mystic is going to carry us. It doesn't fit JD's style, and I want to see something that can't step up to XX and Korn in the early game.
They are known as one of the teams that like to play all 3 matches whenever they have a 3-game series in the LPL, so you can't count JD out yet, but that is a worrying game 1 for them and a great start for TOP in this best of 3. Their mid laner Korn picks up MVP after the game 1 performance. Fantastic play on Talon.
And we had very low expectations for Korn coming in. We even questioned why wasn't Goon playing, but the Assassin player shows his true colors here, and he's just such a clean player in terms of those plays, knows how much damage he can get, and even burns the flash from Lulu away when he was trying to evade the solo kill.
Not just Korn, we even said, why is Lies not playing the top lane? How come Moyu starting? And even he is having a decent performance, especially against Zoom, is considered one of the better top laners in the LPL.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just so many things that TOP do right. I really like the early level 1 as well, starting on their own Wolves instead of the Raptors, because there was already an evade being started on the side of JD Gaming.
Well, for TOP, it was an unexpected game 1 victory, but a very decisive victory at that. Still best of 3 series. We're going to go into a break. We'll be back with game 2 in just a bit.
想要在这里生存下去，必须倾尽所有。